Each week on Culinary Confidential, Christina Cates, a seasoned foodie who has worked at some of New York City's top restaurants, will share her passion for the culinary world. Whether you're a professional chef, a restaurant enthusiast, or a lover of good food, Christina dives into the heart of hospitality, exploring the trends, triumphs, and challenges facing the food service profession. And you won't want to miss her chats with some of the most interesting and influential industry voices. And now, please take your seat at the table as Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates starts now, exclusively on AM 970. The Answer.
Welcome to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates. This show is produced in association with my dear friend, Lucas A. Ferrara. I'm continuing the Spotlight on Chefs series tonight with two amazing women that are leaving their mark in the industry in their own way. First up in the hour is Chef Coton Stine of Table 165 and Costa in Delray Beach, Florida. Chef Coton Stine's culinary journey began when she was honing her skills as a private chef for individuals and stars in Las Vegas and the Palm Beaches. Her culinary focus lies in traditional French techniques merged with contemporary American fare. She's a classically trained Le Cordon Bleu chef, and she has a robust passion for conscious cooking. Chef Stine's approach to cuisine is rooted in sustainable practices and has a deep commitment to supporting local farming and artisan communities. Her vibrant and bold flavor profiles can be enjoyed at her local Delray Beach eatery, Costa, and at her contemporary Eastern World fusion restaurant, Table 165, located in Pineapple Grove. Chef Coton was born in Idaho, but she considers herself a Florida native because she grew up in the Florida Keys. Now, I can't wait to get her on the line and have a little chat with her. But later in the hour, we're joined by Chef Kiersten Gormeley, co-owner of Shaka Kitchen. Along with her sister, Krista, they created Shaka Kitchen, which is a fast casual restaurant that utilizes the freshest ingredients to nourish the mind, body, and soul, but with a Hawaiian twist. Chef Kiersten was notably the 2021 champion of the popular Food Network series, Chopped. Now, that's a pretty sick accomplishment for someone who is a self-taught chef. I was recently connected with Kiersten and quickly moved to put her on this show because I think Coton and Kiersten have a lot of the same philosophies and passion about food. They both like to prioritize pure ingredients that reflect vibrant dishes, so this should make for a very colorful hour. But let's get started. Chef Coton Stine, welcome to Culinary Confidential.
Hi, thank you for having me.
My pleasure. I'm so excited to finally connect with you. How's life in sunny Florida treating you these days?
It's beautiful here right now. This is definitely our favorite time of the year.
Yes, I mean, this is our
amazing
least time of the year up here because it's like supposed to be spring, but it's not. It's still kind of chilly, but I'm so happy that you have this wonderful weather in April. Let's just mention something. Lucas Ferrara, who is a mutual friend of both of ours, he sends his love to you. And, of course, I have to thank him for bringing us together because he's a huge fan of Table 165 in Delray, and I couldn't have, been connected to you without him.
Well, that's great to hear, and thank you.
Yes. All right. So we're going to talk about your culinary journey because this is the Spotlight on Chefs series. So we're going to talk about, how you started in the industry and then, of course, where you're at now, which is a restaurateur in South Florida. But I just want to know some things first. Let's spill the tea on the celebs that you were cooking for while you were private chefing it in Palm Beach and Vegas. Give me the dirt.
So the Palm Beach, or not Palm Beach, but the private sector is a really unique position. So I had started out in Las Vegas doing my private chef work, and that's where I first had that opportunity to be exposed to that sort of style or position. It's always like more of like a high profile type of situation.
Sure.
So it's a unique position. Everything is really private. We're not really supposed to talk about who we work for.
Yeah, because you probably signed an NDA.
Exactly.
Darn it.
I know. So it's definitely, for me, it was gave me an opportunity to spend a lot of time with myself cooking.
Yeah.
And usually you go into these amazing properties and have your own chef's kitchen. and access to the best ingredients. And that was something that really resonated with me because I always like to go to local farmers markets and find out people who are either making products or sourcing from great areas.
Right.
So I was able to do that for years, just really, fine-tuning my skills that I had either learned or picked up along the way with travels, and then just develop my specialties with my style of cooking.
Okay, let's talk about your style of cooking in just a couple minutes, but let's start with the fact that you were in Paris, training at Le Cordon Bleu. I mean, that's a huge deal, and to my knowledge, I don't think I've had any guest on the show yet that is an alumni from that school. I mean, you're training against some of the most talented chefs in the world. Let's talk about that time in your life.
So Le Cordon Bleu, I actually trained at the Las Vegas campus of Le Cordon Bleu.
Oh, you did?
Le Cordon Bleu is originated from France, but I went to the Las Vegas campus of Le Cordon Bleu. And it was an amazing experience for me. I feel like as a chef, it was a introduction to the roots of cooking, which definitely 100% sculpted my style of cooking, because that's when I was able to learn all of your bases for your sauces and then move from there. And as a chef, that's usually what you do when you have a passion for cooking is you'll take these, I think that the root base of French cooking and French techniques is probably what allows me to, something that was created a long time ago, what allows me to develop some really amazing recipes is these foundations. It's definitely the foundations of French cooking. And the fun part is the art side comes out of it, and then you end up being able to create your own dishes.
Now, why did you choose Le Cordon Bleu?
I'm a big lover of French cooking. Because of the recognition and the reputation of Le Cordon Bleu.
Right. And is that why you stayed in Vegas to do some of the private chef stuff after you were done with school? So it's funny, when you start culinary school, they tell you, okay, now go get a job. Right.
And and you're supposed to start and go get a job at the ground up and work your way up. And I've always been very independent and adventurous and more of an entrepreneur spirit. So after I finished school, and they said, well, now go down to a casino and go get a job and start, as an entry-level position, I just thought oh, that doesn't sound like fun.
No, who likes to climb the ladder in any job?
Right. And especially not to say it's mostly a male-dominated industry.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I had bigger, better plans. So I thanked everybody for the education, and then I went and found a location in Summerlin, which is a part of Las Vegas. I don't know if you're familiar with Las Vegas.
I'm not.
And I opened up a cafe there. Well, Vegas is a big valley, so it's known for the wild nightlife down on the Strip, but it's actually a really cool city. It's a valley surrounded by neighboring towns, I guess we could call them. So Summerlin is one of the bigger communities that's on the outskirt of the valley of Vegas. The Strip is downtown.
So the only other town I've heard of is Henderson.
You're on the right track there. So Henderson is on the other side. So there is Henderson and then Summerlin, and then there's a couple of other outside towns as well.
So do you still have the cafe there?
No, I actually sold it when I decided to move to Florida, back to Florida. So I sold my cafe before heading back to what I call home.
Okay, so we're going to skip past Vegas then, because you're a little too tight-lipped for me. You're not going to tell us who you were working for out there.
I don't want to get in trouble.
No, of course not. But then you came back to Florida, right, because you're from Florida. Now, what made you kind of settle in on Delray and the East Coast of South Florida rather than Key West, where you grew up?
So I love the weather and the beach. I really enjoy beach time. So for me, it was either going to California or Florida, and Florida made the most sense. So I had spent a little bit of time in Delray Beach in like the early 2000s. And I had liked Delray then. So I came back to Delray with my family, and that's how I ended up here.
Now, there is a vibrant dining
really
scene there.
Town. It's super cool. So it has grown so much over the last 20 years. And it is, I think, one of the only little beach towns in South Florida, really, that's like set up to be a walkable beach town. It's full of restaurants. It has a lot of great food.
Yeah.
You've got a gorgeous beach, miles of sandy beaches. It's bikeable. Like, we can walk to work or ride your bike, and it's close to bigger cities. You can leave Delray. It's kind of a little bit of a bubble. So you've got this really neat beach town, and then if you go outside, you get hit by traffic. But
yeah, no, I went to Delray back in November, I think. And I took my kids, and, you know, we stayed on the beach in a hotel, but then we walked along Atlantic Avenue, which is like the main strip there. And that's where all, like, there's a lot of restaurants and things. I took them to Tremonti, which I didn't know you then. Obviously, I would have went to table 165, but I took them to Tremonti, and, you know, I thought that was a lovely restaurant. I was impressed with the dining scene overall.
Yeah, Tremonti is actually one of the, I would say it's probably been around one of the longest down here.
Yes, I think that's correct.
Yeah, Italian restaurant.
It's popular with the Northerners, you know, in New York and New Jersey, because they're known for their Italian food. So the people that knew I was going, they said, you got to go to Tremonti.
Yeah. We have a big population of the Northeastern people who come down. So our New Yorkers,
snowbirds.
Italians, yeah. Yep, our snowbirds.
You know what I want to ask you before we leave, like, the culinary school talk for a minute? I had asked the chef I had on last week, Chef Jamie Knott. I asked him this same question. You know, when he was in culinary school, it doesn't really fully prepare you for what the restaurant world is. Is there something you learned more on the job training than you learned technically in culinary school?
The culinary school is really about the basics. Although, like I talked about the sauces and the bases to French cooking, that was really influential for my style of cooking. But it's really about, it's kind of like when you do your first year of college. It's really just saying, hey, this is the skills. This is the knife cuts. This is how you're breaking down the meats. You're going through all these. This is how you write menus. But you don't know how to do any of that until you apply it out in the working field. And it's just really like any job, I would say. I mean, you learn, you get the tools, but then you need to go apply the tools. And then along with applying the tools, you got a lot of people to deal with, a lot of different personalities. Mm-hmm. And so the real work starts when you get in there and start doing the hard work, actually in the restaurants or in the cafes or in the households. 100%.
Yeah, when the heat is on in the kitchen, the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. All right, so let's talk about your restaurants that you have in Delray. Okay, you're known for conscious cooking. What exactly does that mean?
Well, so for me, I grew up in kind of like a different style of family. My parents were super artsy, and I was raised vegetarian. My parents made everything from scratch. We didn't do any fast food. And it was in that time frame, too, like in the 80s when the fast food got popular. My parents would send us to school with, like, avocado sprout sandwiches.
Oh, wow.
The kids would be like, ooh, what are you eating?
Yeah. What's that green stuff in your bread?
Exactly. My mom would always say, I this is like stuck in my memory, over-processed, over-packaged. So we weren't allowed to have like anything on the bottom shelf of the grocery stores.
I'm going to start using that with my kids.
Isn't that funny? That's overpackaged, overpackaged, over-processed. And it's so true, too, if you look at it, if everything is like packaged, processed, selling to the children. It's terrible. So for me, that was really a way of life. I was raised that way. And then where I definitely know those roots were kind of grounded into my philosophy behind food And as I've grown in my career and along my adventures, it's just important, I think, not only to support our local food system by purchasing local from our farmers, putting it back into the community, as well as the artisans that are creating items. It's also healthier and it tastes better. So why not get all three of these, back into the community, supporting our local farmers, top ingredients. It really makes our job as a chef easier when you're cooking with great ingredients. So that's always kind of been my philosophy. And then, of course, when I was working as a private chef, that was definitely always high importance. These families want the best of the best.
Sure.
So now I try to be creative of how I can give my customers the best of the best without necessarily, breaking the bank. And there's so many creative ways to do that. And so I definitely 100% put that philosophy and thought process into my recipes, my menu planning, and purchasing when I'm down here in Florida.
I can't get over the avocado and sprout sandwich. If I sent my children to school with a sandwich like that in their lunchbox, they'd smack me with it. The first thing they do every morning when I send them to school is they look in their lunchbox to see what I pack them. And that's how we start our day, fighting over, I didn't give them enough snacks. And I'm like,
what is this, Mom?
Yeah, I'm like, you have a banana and an apple. Go.
But you train them young. I mean, I have 3 children, so I've been through all this with my kids, too.
Do you make them avocado and sprout sandwiches?
So, my kids, the school they go to, they actually provide them lunch. They
That's
have people
amazing.
there that cook, so they're set. But my kids are funny. They'll come home and be like, "This is what the chef cooked today," and then they're definitely little foodies. They'll be like, "Oh, what did you think about this, Mom?
Oh,
it needed this. It needed some more seasoning."
That's hysterical.
But I'm glad that they're learning about food and also, eating good, just eating fresh stuff or eating food at its raw state as opposed to the process.
Yes, yes.
Is so important. Like my son this morning, for example, he's like, "Hey, can I have that peanut butter shake?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." So that's his breakfast. He had peanut butter with honey and frozen banana, blended up with some oat milk.
That sounds delicious.
Right?
I'm a big smoothie person for children. I hide all their vegetables in smoothies. It's the only way I can get that into them. I'll throw cucumber slices in there or a little kale or spinach. And they ask, they're like, "What's this stuff floating?" I'm like, it's the strawberry leaves. I lie to them all the time.
Oh, and if you start them young, they get used to it. And then they don't question it so much. And then it becomes a way of life.
Right.
Kind of like how that was for me. And
Okay, table 165. What's the vibe like there? Is it casual, upscale, family friendly? What are you doing there?
So table 165 is really fun. It's been such a great experience just with the opening and the transition into Pineapple Grove, which I absolutely love the area. Did you get down to Pineapple Grove when you were in town?
I don't think I did. I didn't really leave the beach or Atlantic Ave.
Okay. So it's a off street in Delray Beach on 2nd Avenue. And basically it's kind of become the little culinary street, in my opinion. There's a handful of chef-owned and operated restaurants down in Pineapple Grove. So when this opportunity came for me to get in over there, I hopped on that quickly so that I could be over in that area. And then created a menu still using my locally sourced concept, but it has some Asian flair to it, which is different. But for example, I have a squid ink pasta dish that is served with a miso sauce. It almost reminds you a miso beer blanc, bringing in the French, but then you have the Asian flavors with a cured or a king salmon that's kind of gravitated into our signature dish, and it's topped with shiso microgreens, which to me have a really Asian inspired flavor. It's really fun. It's cute, quaint restaurant. We have some great art in there from two of my local friend artists, and it has almost like a New York City European vibe.
Oh, I love that. I'm coming back. I got to check it out.
You have to, definitely.
Okay, Chef, we have to go to commercial break, but when we get back, I want to know more about this restaurant, so sit tight. You're listening to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970, The Answer.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Welcome back to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970, The Answer.
Welcome back. We are in the thick of the Spotlight on Chef series, and tonight's guests both share the same spirit for using fresh and pure ingredients in their dishes. I'm back with Chef Coton Stine, a classically trained Le Cordon Bleu chef who has a few restaurants down in Delray Beach, Florida, Table 165 and Costa. Chef Coton, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
All right, so we just started talking before the break about your restaurants. Now, you know, we talked about Delray as a whole, how there is that bustling dining scene there, but what do you think is setting your restaurant apart and making it stand out from the competition?
To me, there's two different types of restaurants in Delray Beach, and you've got the bigger restaurants that are either some sort of like a smaller chain or restaurant group. We're seeing a lot of restaurant groups from New York come down, and they have the restaurant, but maybe they have another one in New York, and
right,
that style. And then you have, I call them boutique restaurants, which is what Table 165 is. And that's where you go in and you have more of an intimate environment. The focus is really on the culinary side, and there's a lot of inspiration behind the plate. And that's because the chef's hands are in there. You know, you can really see it with the visual, with the plating. You can taste it in the flavors, the complexities. So that's kind of, to sum it up, to me, I feel like those two types of offerings, both are great, both are totally different. So when you come to Table 165, you get that boutique style experience. My staff over there is phenomenal. All of the front of house, these guys are just professionals. They love what they're doing. We're really family oriented there. Like, everybody, you know, has a great time, works closely together, and genuinely cares about everything that comes out of the chef's window with food and plating, and cares about the restaurant. So you feel that. You get to experience that. You eat it, you drink it, you feel the love in the food, for sure. And
what about Costa?
Yeah, so Costa's fun. Costa's a completely different vibe than Table 165. We're actually on Atlantic Avenue, which is a little bit more of like a bustling scene, because Delray Beach has become such a destination point. We have a lot of visitors during season. So what Costa offers is an awesome brunch. We do, for the daytime shift, like an all-day breakfast and a lunch menu. And you're getting some of these great same local purveyors as far as the farmers go. it's more traditional American food. Like you can come in and get like an awesome burger or a pink shrimp po' boy. We have fantastic salads, which we source from Swank Farms. And then we do dinner as well, but I would consider it more of like a fun, beachy, casual environment.
Yeah. I think I actually know exactly where it is. Now, like, I'm racking my brain. Like, walking from the beach, is it on the left-hand side?
Yeah,
I walked by it. I walked by it.
Yep. All along the west side of the building and, like, tons of plants. We have a really cool plant wall that we put up a few years ago on the west side of the building, and it's just, like, this beautiful live plant wall.
That's great.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your relationships with these Florida farms and fisheries. Everything's locally sourced. You believe in sustainable practices. Is there anyone out there you want to kind of highlight or give a shout out to that you work closely with for your menu?
Yeah, so definitely, that would definitely be Swank Farms. Jody and Darren are the owners. I've worked with them for years since I had first started my businesses back in Florida. And they're just amazing. They're genuine. They just put their hearts into what they do. The farm has grown so much over the years. And I lots of gratitude for them, not towards, but for them. And I really feel fortunate that I'm able to have that source there right in our backyard. So they do a great job. And you know what they do, too, during season, just kind of sharing the word with everybody. They do Swank Farm dinner parties at the farm, which are
that sounds
so
fun.
Fantastic. Yeah, they're super fun. I usually do one throughout the season for Jody. She brings in local chefs, and then on site we actually will execute dinner. I think it's like 5 courses. The guest, you purchase tickets, and then you come in and eat this amazing dinner underneath the outdoor barn area with like live music, and it's really cool.
That sounds awesome. All right, what do you think is one of the biggest lessons that you've learned as a restaurant owner, or even a cafe owner when you were out in Vegas?
You know, people always say, "Oh, the restaurant industry is so tough." So I think like perseverance.
Yes, that's
probably
the best one.
You gotta just really have your goals, your vision, see it, trust your instincts, and work hard. And for me, I've realized over the years, like I'm only as successful as the team that I build around me is. And it's really important to have good people there helping you reach your goals or share your vision or make this great food. So,
are you in the restaurants every day?
Sure. Am I?
Yeah, like are you behind the line? Like when you're talking about the team and stuff, like are you like kind of on site?
I'm always on site, yeah. It's front of house, back of house, whole team being both of those. And every day I'm in one of the restaurants or both of the restaurants. The weekends when we get busy, I'm usually like AM shift over at Costa. Not necessarily cooking, but I'm there.
Right.
And then I'll go to table in the evening time. So.
But how do you balance that when you have 3 kids? Like the nighttime stuff more than the daytime stuff.
Yeah, well, this year has actually kind of been my first year that I've been able to not be out every night at the restaurants, which has been really nice. My kids know, I mean, they know what I do, so they're used to that, knowing that I'm at work, and they understand. It's challenging, though. I'm not going to lie.
Right. Yeah. I don't even know how you do it, to be honest.
My husband is actively involved with the kids, which is a huge help. And then my mother helps as well with the kids. So that's definitely helpful.
It takes a village.
But my kids, it takes a village. And my kids know. They're like, hey, do we have time to do this weekend? Or are you busy working? So they're pretty respectful.
And understanding.
Yeah, they are. They're understanding. So, yeah.
That's great. All right, what's next for Chef Coton? Are you going to expand out of Delray, or you're just going to build your little empire down there in Florida?
Well, right now, I'm staying put in Delray. With Table, this is my new project, which is because it's only been open for a few months. We just opened in January, like the very beginning of the month. And then I have a second side to it that I'm getting ready to open, which is my bar side. So there's an expansion happening right now with Table 165.
That's exciting.
So, yeah, it's super exciting. We just almost have everything finished and ready to open to the public.
Now, the bar side, is it going to have some like light bites, or what kind of menu are you going to serve over there?
Yeah, so I'm actually really excited about the bar side, and I think that our local community is going to be very excited too. My bar partner is from Austria, and he is a mixologist, and so he's like a chef behind the bar.
That's great.
So he has some really cool, innovative, fun drinks that we're going to be showcasing there. And then we have a whole nother bar bites menu that's going to be served on that side. So it'll allow another space, like maybe if you're not doing like more of a sit down full dinner, you can come by and get a great drink and have some bites or shareables
like a little nosh.
Yeah, and it's almost like a little loungy in there too, so there's some super comfy seating, and yeah.
Awesome. Next time I'm in Delray, Chef, I'm going to reach out and come visit you at all your places.
Yes,
we're out of time, but I want to thank you so much.
That sounds great.
And I wish you continued success in all your ventures.
My pleasure. Well, thanks a lot. I appreciate that, and I appreciate your time as well, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to head to commercial break. You're listening to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970 The Answer.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Welcome back to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970. The Answer.
Welcome back to Culinary Confidential. Joining the show now is Chef Kiersten Gormeley. In 2021, Kiersten won the popular Food Network show Chopped, giving her culinary skills national recognition. But she was throwing it down in the kitchen way before that. Kiersten, along with her sister Krista, opened Shaka Kitchen in 2016. Now, this is a health-focused, fast-casual restaurant inspired by Hawaiian cuisine. Now, with several locations of Shaka Kitchen, Kiersten continues to reinforce her commitment to promoting wholesome eating through her culinary ventures. Welcome to the show, Chef Kiersten.
Hey, Christina. I'm so excited to be on. Really awesome that I get to chat with you for a bit about all things restaurants and cooking.
Yeah, and everything you have going on. But let's start at the beginning. Now, you and your sister, Krista, that you moved to a small town in Hawaii. Let's talk about that time in your life, because Shaka Kitchen wouldn't be here without that venture.
Correct. So in 2014, our story began. My sister and I went to Hawaii to study on an exchange program. We were placed in a small town on the Big Island, Hilo, where we later discovered, farmers markets and neighbors' backyards filled with fruits, all kind of while, enjoying that simple lifestyle that we felt was, grounded by nature, fueled by community with the farmers markets and our school. and like all the, the natural resources that the island had given us, kind of fueled us to start making like smoothies in our dorm. Well, it wasn't a dorm, it was an apartment, which is really like ended up being the beginnings of what was Shaka Bowl that started in 2016, which was just 2 years after we had left there. And then after my time in Hawaii, like right when I got home, pretty much I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer.
Oh, no.
Which fueled our mission for healthy eating and changing our lifestyles into this ever-flowing way of life that was pretty much rooted within the roots of Hawaii.
So if you weren't diagnosed with thyroid cancer, do you think you would have started Shaka Kitchen, or that kind of went hand in hand? You felt a need for like more restaurant options that just served fresher ingredients?
I really, I think a lot of our story has to do with our time, in Hawaii. And when we came back to the mainland, there really wasn't any acai and poke concepts at all. And Shaka actually is the first acai and poke concept in the country. And when I was diagnosed with the cancer, I was, writing menus at the time. I had started my own company called K Cooks, which I was working with a nutritionist and delivering meals to local families that met certain lifestyle needs. So it really was,
like hand in hand, it went together.
Yeah, it all just flowed. I think the cancer really was a way for, God to tell me to like slow down and kind of really take in that natural way of life and really embrace, healthy eating. And it kind of just started to flow with.
Yeah. Well, I hope you're doing well now.
Yeah. I'm good. It's going to be 10 years actually this August, which is really crazy actually.
Yeah.
And I'm doing better than ever actually. I think I'm the strongest I've been in a long time, mentally, spiritually.
That's amazing.
And health-wise, for sure.
Probably from all the meals you're eating at Shaka Kitchen. Now let's talk about that menu. You mentioned the acai bowls and the smoothies. What else do you serve at your restaurants?
So we actually, during our rebrand in 2021, we went from Shaka Bowl to Shaka Kitchen, which enabled my sister and I to kind of stem away from that stereotypical bowl place.
Right, like a playa bowls almost.
Yeah, exactly. I was really, nothing against them. They're a great brand. And I wanted to be different. I wanted people, when they heard Shaka Kitchen and just Shaka in general, I wanted them to think of more than just, the acai bowl.
Yeah.
I had elevated poke bowls. I had also started reintroducing tacos. So we have these pretty fresh, wholesome, elevated, we have our lava rock shrimp tacos, which are pretty big. We have our kalipua tacos, which are a cauliflower taco. And we have our buffalo shrimp tacos that have, strawberries and jalapenos on them.
Oh, that's a
with
twist.
Blue cheese dressing. Yeah. So we have baked goods. We have, coffee. So, an inspired Hawaiian health cafe is kind of how we started to trend over the years. And I offer like limited time specials, a few menus a year, spring, summer, fall, winter. And I have things like lobster rolls, crab cake,
who doesn't love a lobster roll? But I am getting a little bit of the aloha spirit in your menu offerings for sure.
Yeah. Everything I do, I try and take. I wouldn't say we're just Hawaiian inspired. I traveled to Greece a couple of years ago and I took a lot of things and fresh foods that I ate there and really tried to tie them in. So that's why I've more or less moved towards an island inspired eatery. I try and take things from all different cultures and really bring that in to our menu and highlight those offerings. Awesome. I just did like an island tostada bowl, which, my boyfriend is actually Dominican, and I brought in, some fun ingredients that they use there, like tostones.
Yo, I love those.
Huskies.
Fried plantains?
Yeah,
My goodness.
So a little bit of everywhere. I don't really consider us to be one designated cuisine. I'm not one designated ethnicity, and I find joy in bringing in colors and flavors from all over the world.
Hey, how's it working with family, though? Like, your sister's the co-owner. Is that tough? I mean, I work for my family business also, so, like, I know, like, how dynamics work, and I enjoy it, but, like, is that tough for you sometimes? Because sister relationships are different.
That's really funny you say that. We were on a family walk this morning, and I was like, remember when you used to beat me up?
Is she older or younger than you?
She's actually 17 months younger than I am, so we're just shy of Irish twins.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we're very close in age. My brother is also, Eric, is a silent partner in Shaka, so we have a whole family thing going here.
Wow.
And I have to say, while it is grueling sometimes, we really complement one another because we all kind of know what we're good at and where our strengths lie. And I'm a very, open, honest person, and I'm just like, when I'm wrong, I'm like, I might be hard-headed as an Aries at first, but when I'm wrong, I'm like, hey, like, I kind of need your help here. I don't know what I'm doing.
Right. Well, that's good. There's self-awareness
and my siblings
there.
are, yeah, definitely. I'm pretty self-aware, and, like, I think my sister is as well. She's like, you're the chef. Like, you're going to have to figure this out. Like, I don't know this.
Well, what is her role in the business? If you're the chef, the brother's a silent partner.
Yeah, Eric pretty much stays pretty silent unless we're working on, like, a new location or construction build-outs. Anything that involves, like, pretty heavy-duty decisions, he gets involved in. Whereas Krista and I are more the daily, day-to-day. And her background was actually in marketing.
Oh,
so
that's
great. She tends to deal with all of that. The social media these days is out of control. So she tends to lean more towards that, where I take on a lot more. Unfortunately, you would get this. I failed math basically my entire life, and I'm like the leader on some of our financials, which is actually working out.
No, but it's different. Like, I hated school when I was younger, like, and that's why I think I chose to go into restaurants, because I was like, I'm just gonna go to culinary school and get it over with, and like, because I don't want to do a 4-year thing. And I wasn't great in school, but like, I could read a P&L pretty well. Like, when it comes to restaurant math, it's just different. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I think you're right. My sister and I'm a self-taught chef, and she's self-taught, and we both worked a lot in the restaurant industry, similar to you. Maybe not as extensively, but everything I know now is just from trial and error, and honestly, failure.
That's the best way to learn.
Everything I learned through the restaurants is kind of because I was just like thrown into it, and I still learn a lot every day, especially when it comes to financials and background and business and all that stuff. But it's I love it. So it's relatable. I can like put myself in those shoes when I really sit down and think about it, like, why is this not working out when this is, and whatever it may be.
So before we leave our time together, I want to talk about Chopped. I mean, you were the champion of Chopped in 2021, and as a self-taught chef, like, that's crazy. So like, what were some of the winning dishes you prepared for the show?
Oh man, winning dishes. They threw me some wrenches. I have to say, when I walked down into the lobby, I thought someone was messing with me because I saw 3 grown men there. And this was all during, this was during COVID. So they flew me out to Knoxville, Tennessee.
Wow.
And I was like, I was really nervous. I grew up watching Emeril, Giada, Paula Deen, all these big chefs. Like, I had watched Chopped when I was a kid. I would come home from school every day and turn on the Food Network. That's what I watched. I didn't watch anything else. Like, nothing else really intrigued me. That's how I knew I was kind of different and that I really wanted to be a chef. I walked down into the lobby. I see 3 grown men sitting there, and I was like, someone's messing with me. Like, I lost. Like, this is terrible. So then, I just was like, you know what? No, I'm not. I came all the way here. Like, this has been a dream of mine forever. And it was a taco episode. And apparently the guys that were on the show knew about this But the producer that I was working with, like, kind of messed up and didn't end up telling me that until the day before. And when I heard that, I was relieved because I was like, oh, taco. Oh, my God. Wow. Okay. I can do this. So in the back of my mind, like, I was like, all right, it's not going to be that hard.
Right.
To my surprise, it was very hard, actually. It was exactly what you see on the TV. There's like 50 cameras looking at you. You actually have 20 minutes to make an appetizer with no prep work done. I was like, and you have to like wow people.
Yeah.
Like you can't just put a slap of American cheese like, on a piece of bread and like be like, yeah, here.
I would crumble under the pressure.
Yeah, it was, the first 5 minutes I thought I was high actually on the show. Like I was like, it didn't really click to me that like I was actually on the show.
Well,
you know what
you
I'm saying?
were, and you won, so that's awesome.
Yeah. So you asked me about the dishes. So I think round one was like pork tenderloin, squash blossoms, pepinos locos, which I had no idea what that was.
Oh my goodness.
It's some like drink. I don't even know what I ended up making, honestly. Round two was red snapper, jicama, ancho chilies, a whole taco bowl. And round three was like a mango margarita. It was a mango and a margarita, not a mango margarita. The margarita I started drinking. Dried hibiscus flower and a cream cheese chimichanga.
Ooh, I love this.
Yeah, so you had to make like tacos out of all three of these dishes.
Yeah.
I think I made like mini tacos.
You were the perfect contestant for that episode.
Yeah, and the way I cook is like is visually with colors and sweet and salty. And they gave me like the perfect baskets for those. So I was like super pumped about that.
It was meant to be.
I was really able to like leverage that to my advantage in a lot of ways.
That's great.
Yeah, it was good. Honestly, I think just my mental attitude got me through it, honestly.
Well, I'm going to go back and watch that episode again now that I know you more formally. All right, check out Shaka Kitchen. You have 3 locations, 2 in Hoboken, New Jersey, and 1 in Morristown. Yes. Any others on the horizon? Is Eric working on anything?
Yeah, we're working on something in South Jersey right now.
Amazing. Well, I look forward to hearing what pops up. Thank you for listening to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates, Sunday nights at 9 p.m. on AM 970 The Answer. Tune in next week as I continue the Spotlight on Chef series. You won't believe who I have on the show. I'm so beyond excited for this one. I'm going to be chatting with New York's own Chef Michael LaMonaco. Chef LaMonaco has worked at just about every renowned New York institution. He's been at the 21 Club, Le Cirque, Windows on the World, and for the last 20 years or so, Porterhouse Bar and Grill at Columbus Circle. He is an inspiration to many, and I'm so honored to do next week's show with him. This is going to be the most amazing show. You won't want to miss it, I promise. That's the show tonight. Thanks for listening, and have a great night.
The preceding program is sponsored by Shake It Off Live, LLC.